A lot of you guys are doing is you're taking this and it doesn't look like this. It looks like, Ella, can you bring your dress form over? Or bring Michelle's over, it's closer. Bring Michelle's over. You wanna take style tape and mark your dress form and you start draping. So the skills that I'm teaching you right now do transfer, you know, like the pins and how you pin and the marking and the system, it's all the same. You're getting that ingrained. And so part of that system is this. So do you guys see what's wrong with hers versus mine? Does anyone see it? So she's already started draping her back, right? So I already draped my back. I did that the other day, right? So when I draped the back, my front looked like this, right? And it was pinned on the dress form. So, and I had it pinned, you have to pin the front on the dress form, and it has to be completely finished before you can do the back. So after you finish draping the front and marking it with the pencil on the dress form, then you take it off, right, and you put it on the table, and then you true it. So that's called truing on the table. And when you true it on the table, you add the seam allowance and you pin the darts closed and you trim off the I added the seam allowance and I trimmed it, and I added seam allowance and I trimmed it. I dropped the neck, all of that. And then when I I pinned all my darts closed, right, with the dart intake going towards the front, dart intake going down. The only thing I didn't add seam allowance to or cut was my side seam. But everything else, I did the waist, I did the armhole, I did the shoulder, I did the neck, and I pinned my darts closed. I trued them up, and then I put it all back on the dress form. Remember, the neck is dropped. I dropped it a quarter. So don't try to match that line with the top. You have to remember you dropped it. You have to pin it back on the dress form properly, or you won't get the right drape when you do the back. And then I pinned right above, on the center front, above the bust level. And then I want to leave that space. And then I want to pin. So this dress form is not the dress form I draped this on. So this is not fitting perfectly. So just ignore. Normally this line, it should be right at the center of your tape. Okay? So you pin one pin here, pin your neck. You should have that space here. We talked about that a lot yesterday with each of you, right? You have that, you got more than a couple of inches. It's got to be able to go across the bust. And then this line that you trued on the waist, it should be right on the center of the tape. You should have that space, and then you should have that on the center of the tape, and then you should be able to pin this below the apex. So you might want another pin too. So one pin 2 inches below, one pin 2 inches above, just like that, okay? Then up here, I know it's hard to see because this dress form is like the killer dress form and it falls and attacks. But do you guys see that? So this is flat and it's cut. And then you sink your pins in like this, all the way in. So I've already been talking to all of you and reminding you, you do not sink these pins in. It's just a tack. And if it's not holding it in place, then you can put two like that to anchor it, right? And you should have a pin here at the apex too when you're draping the back. I forgot to do that. Holding that in place, because we want to make sure the apex is always on the apex. So I usually put like 4 pins here and they're sunk all the way in. I put them at an angle because they won't go in straight. And you guys all see that? They're at an angle and they're flat. And that's so that I can drape the back over it, right? The back has to lay over it and I have to transfer that line because this is my pattern. This is going to be a pattern. It's our sloper, but it'll be a pattern. And those 2 lines have to be the same length and they have to match, right? You've all taken sewing, so you know those lines have to match. So she didn't finish her front yet. And I'm not like calling her out. She's done a great job. So do you guys see that? This is not finished. All she's done is pinned it. She still has to mark it with pencil, and then she has to take it off, and then she has to true it on the table, and then she has to add the seam allowance and cut. Then she can lay it down, she can pin it back up, lay the shoulder down, pop the pins, then she can start draping the back. So none of you should drape the back until your front is complete, just like mine. It should look like this. You should have seam allowance and it's cut, seam allowance, cut. The only thing I didn't cut was this, okay? Is that clear for everyone? So then you put the front on, then you can today. So I did that much of a demo last week, and I finished with the back on the dress form, and I marked it for you guys. I showed you how to mark it on the dress form. So I had it up here, I marked. So again, when you lay your muslin over the front shoulder, you're transferring that dark lead line, not the seam. You used the seam to do the front, but for the back, you're gonna transfer the front line. That's the line that you're gonna copy, okay? So I already did this. I know you guys have the video for the back. Okay, so any questions so far? I just want to make that clear. I think that should be good. I know a lot of you didn't draw your cross grain line all the way across, but I think I've spoken with most of you about that. That's really important. And then dropping that grain line from the apex down, because that's the center of your dart. That line's the center of the dart here, and this line's the center of the dart here. But I think most of you have that now, but I wanted to make sure. Good morning. Take this off now. I did that already, and we just pull it last week. You guys have that video. So after you've done the back, you've marked it, draped it, marked it, then you unpin everything, take it off, and we're gonna true the back now. So when we true the back, the first thing we're gonna do is attack our side seam, okay? Because we need to disconnect the front from the back. Right now they're connected, and I need to separate the back so that I can true it up. But okay, so you guys come on in. See, can everyone see? Carol can't. Come over here. Come please, I want you guys to see. Because I know you have Angie's like become the video person, but I think it's good to see it too and get in close and really see it. And then you can also have the video as backup. If anyone can't see, just let me know to wait until you can see. And don't be afraid to come in and watch, okay? When I was learning, when I was in school, we didn't have cell phone. We had cell phones, but they weren't iPhones. They were flip phones. No one was texting yet either back then, and it was like you were crowding in and taking notes. So just go do that. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy. Okay, so we're gonna do the side seam first. So I'm just laying this out. I showed you how to pin this last week. So it's on the video, or you should have taken notes. And then we're gonna lay it nice and flat, like this. And I wanna transfer this side seam line to the back. So you're gonna use your carbon paper. So lay that out. And again, I want to make sure it's flat, you know, no bubbling or anything, because I want to transfer it accurately. And I'm going to go ahead, this is the original side seam that was right at this braid right here, you know. And then this is my new side seam, because we had to add, I half this way and we dropped it an inch. So from the underarm, we drop it an inch and then we bring it out a half and we come to 0 at the waist. So this is the original line and this is my new line. So all of you, your armhole doesn't start up here because there needs to be room for the sleeve. So you have to drop it an inch and you have to bring it out a half inch and then it goes to 0 at the waist. So I'm gonna trace both. Wait, I need the, carbon. I need the carbon to go to the muslin. It's not the paper. I'm gonna trace both just so I have it, because it's nice just to have the history of it all. And it's okay to trace both. So I'm gonna trace both. Being careful. I know there's pins in the way, so I'm just kind of going around the pins. And I'm also tracing this, my armhole, okay, that I already dropped. So after I do that, then I can turn it over, check it, make sure everything was traced. Now I can remove my pins, okay? So I'm gonna take out my pins and I can take the front away. And I can go ahead and add my seam allowance to this and be done with the front. So with the seam allowance on the front, doesn't anyone know what it is? Half inch. So this line is a little bit funky, so I'm gonna just actually, no. Straighten it out, because it is weird. I don't want to straighten it out. I'm going to keep it because then it won't match this guy. So I'm just going to add a half inch. And cut it out. And then this, I want that to be straight. You want this to be square. So I'm just gonna snip that off. So there's my added half inch, and I dropped it an inch, and now I've added a half inch here, okay? And then I can come over here and start working on this guy. So it's a little bit wrinkled because I'm gone from 1 week to the next. So I'm just gonna hand press it. And now I can start truing up this guy. So this is completely finished. It's ready to be pinned to the back when I'm done with the back. So first thing I'm gonna do are my darts. This is my vanishing point. So remember I said your vanishing point of this dart shouldn't be above your armhole. So on my dress form, it really was vanishing like more up here, and I brought it down. I might even bring it down more. So here's my pin mark where I marked. So we'll see once I start going. Some of you guys, it might be fine. Some of you might not have to worry about that at all. I'm just saying for me, I am a little worried because it's gonna be a little bit high. Do you see that? So you can't lower it until you have the center of the dart. I can't just start like randomly marking. I mean, I could eyeball it, but it's better to, at the waist, measure the width of your dart. So my dart's like 1 inch and 5/8. So the half, whatever half of that is, I'm gonna, you know, like 7/8, mark it like that, and then I'm gonna draw in the center of my dart. Okay, now I can back it off a little. So I'm not gonna do that yet. I'm gonna wait until I get this trued up. Does that make sense? So the neck on the back, we do not drop it. So what, did we drop it in the front?
Yes.
How much?
Quarter.
Yeah, 1/4 inch. So in the back, you don't need to drop. I'm just gonna get my curve straightened out. And now I need to do this dart before I can true the shoulder, right? So here's my vanishing point. I'm just gonna sort of true that up there. These are my 2 legs that I marked from the pin. So I'm gonna draw that in. Draw that in, just like that. So typically a shoulder dart, they're usually about 3 inches long. So mine's in that range. It's a little more than 2. And they're usually about a 1/4 inch wide. So mine's in that range. It's like 3/8. And then I can also I can put the center if I want it. Like here, have the center. Sometimes it's easier to have the center like that. So we'll do it. And now I'm gonna true up my armhole. So this is my new line that I transferred from the back, and I'm just gonna square it off a bit more. Remember, this is where the screw level is on the plate, and this is my original underarm right here. I marked that just so that I would have it. And then the other line is this line right here. That's what this line is. So those are just kind of guidelines for drawing in my armhole, because my armhole has to start here and end here. So you want to get that angled in properly. And then you know that it shouldn't be out beyond, sorry, this guy. This is kind of a guide. My armhole's going to be like somewhere inside here. And I like this curve. To me, this is the best curve for using your armhole. It just always seems to work perfectly. So there's my armhole, and then I'm going to go ahead and true this up. And then add my seam allowance to it. Actually, that didn't go right. It should be there. There's my seam allowance. And now I'm going to close my darts. I can't do the waist until I close the dart. So grab the dart at the waist and at the leg on the outside, or closest to the center back, fold it over. Now my intake's pointing where it should be, towards the interior of the body, and then pin into the fold. So this is how you close your dart when you're draping. There's a specific way to how it should be done. Folded close like this, and pin into the fold. Oh, and I didn't drop my vanishing point. I'm gonna leave it. I like it. And now I can true up my waist. So I like to use this curve for that. All I have to do is square off here, right? We always square off these at the underarm, at the waist, at the neck, so we don't have those little like pivoty lines. So for some reason my waist, when I was dotting it, it got kind of weird. So I'm gonna just fix that right now because that's not the way I want my waist to be. So that's okay. Let's make it look like a true waist. So that looks pretty. That was an accident. Remember, that's my pinch of ease, and I marked it on accident. I thought I was marking the dart. You don't have to mark your ease. You'll get confused. You'll be like, oh, is that my dart? No, you only want to rub off your dart. The pinch is just there. It just lives there and is added in. So now I can go ahead and add seam allowance to the waist. That. I'm going to add seam allowance to the neck. Do you guys know what that is? Anyone help me? 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to close my shoulder dart. and then I can true up my shoulder. So again, I grab where I marked it, where I trued it, right on this line here, and I just touch that pencil mark. So this pencil mark, pinch, fold it over, touch that pencil mark, and then pin into the fold and come out like that. So, and then I do that all the way up. And like this. Okay, and just make it as neat as you can. Now I can add the seam allowance to my shoulder. Do you guys know what that is? You remember? A 1/2 inch. Oh, I didn't true it up first. What did I do wrong? I didn't true it. So you gotta true it first. So this shoulder's kind of being a little bit funky. I know I want my shoulder to kind of dip down right here, not too extreme. And then it should kind of pop up right here. So I think that's something that you guys learn over time, and what is helpful is like, and draping gets you there. If you just take flat pattern making, you never really learn what the lines should look like, what that armhole should really look like, what that dart should look like. That's why the draping is so helpful, because it helps you start learning, okay, that's what a shoulder should look like, that's what the underarm seam should look like on a kimono or whatnot. Like, draping helps you get there, you get used to those curves. Just so if you ever get a chance to take draping classes, I recommend. Okay, there is the shoulder. Now I can add my seam allowance. And that's what sets you apart from the competition. You know, it's like having that eye, being able to see things, you know, it'll set, if you're, whether you're a pattern maker or a designer, you know, whether you're working in the industry and you're, you know, an assistant designer and you're in the fitting, you're in a fitting with the fit model and the design director, and you're looking at your first proto, and like, if you can like see, oh, that's not right, it's not hanging right, you know, I mean, you might not say anything because you're just the assistant, but if you see it and that puts you ahead and no one else sees it, then you're ahead of the game, right? So now I can trim all my seam allowances off. If I've forgotten something, tell me. And then after I'm done cutting, then I'm going to pin it to the front and put it back on the dress form. And that's what I want you guys to show me. I know everyone's at different stages, and we're doing the strapless today. So I think on Wednesday, I'd like to see this finished and pinned up on the dress form so I can just approve it. I'm not grading you guys on it, but I need to see it and approve it before you guys transfer it to the manila. I don't want you to take the time and put it in manila if it's not correct, right? So once it's in manila, then it's like set. This is my sloper, but we want to check it first. So I've created all my seam allowances. I already dropped this armhole and brought it out, and I trued it up with the front. I've got my neck, my shoulder, my waist. I pinned my darts. So pinning these together is there's a certain way to do that. So I need to pin the front to the back. So you take the back and you lay it down flat, and you take the front, and you lay the back over the front. So I lay it like this, and you start with the shoulder. Just like when you're sewing, you're supposed to always sew the shoulder first, then the side seam. Unless you're like in a factory and then they change everything. But like in the design room, shoulders first. So I'm gonna fold the back over the front and pin. So remember that, front is laying flat, fold back over the front. And I always pin these two, the neck and that armhole first, because there's ease on the shoulder, usually a little bit of ease, or you know, there might be some bubbling going on. If that pin is in the way, you can just move it, no big deal. Okay, so just like that. And again, I'm pinning into the fold. I'm left-handed, so you know, obviously your pins might look different than mine at a different angle, that's fine, but pin into the fold. So shoulder first, then side seam. It's just easier that way, okay? And I just kind of pop my front like this, and then pop the back like this, and I fold the back. And again, I do the same thing. I match this underarm, and so this line, it's not trued out. So that's a problem, so, or squared out. So I need to square that out because I need to be able to match up these lines on each other, okay? And same thing, I'm gonna fold this here at the waist and match it up. And then I pin the center. That way, if there is any ease, that's just my little trick. Maybe you guys already know that. Then I can just distribute the ease in between like that and pin it up. And then that's your front bodice drape. And it goes back on the dress form, and there's a way to pin it on the dress form a certain way. So so now everything is draped and pinned, so I don't have to pin the apex. I'm just gonna grab this, you guys. I don't have to pin the apex to here. I just want to drape it on, just like putting it on. So, and this is how you would present your garments too, like your strapless or whatnot. You're not putting in a ton of pins because we want to see the fit. So I just slide it up. I'm only going to put a pin here at the neck, and again the pin above the apex, and a pin below, and a pin at the waist. And that's all I should need. And then same in the back. You're going to fold your seam allowance in, and you'll pin. So we didn't drop, right? So should this be pinned right here? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, you know, a couple pins down the center back, and then that's all you need when you guys show it to me. So just the pins on the center front and the pins on the back. That way I can check and see that everything's fitting correctly, that, you know, it was draped properly, you know, that this was dropped. So that's what you guys will show me on Wednesday. If you don't get it done by Wednesday, I'm not gonna like ding you or anything. I'll check it the next week, but it'd be great if most of you could be done with this, okay? I wanna start demoing the torso sloper this week. So it's literally just tracing it. And there's no seam allowance. So you have seam allowance on this, just check the fit, but you're not gonna include the seam allowance on this, okay? And so you just need to draw this out. When you transfer it, I want you to transfer it properly. I want you to draw in a grain line. So please use the L square. So if this is your manila, I'm gonna draw in a grain line, my center front, and let's just mark where our neck is, okay? And then you're gonna measure the distance from the neck to the bust. So mine's 7 inches, and I'm gonna mark that here. And then I'm gonna square a line across. Use the L square so that it's perfectly square, okay? And then I want to know what the distance is from here to the apex, because I want to mark it on this. And I'm using the measuring tape. Mine's 3 3/8, so I'm going to use the measuring tape here, because sometimes the ruler and the measuring tape aren't the same, right? And I'm going to square that line down.
What line? It's an apex.
That's the apex.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the apex. So now when I take this off, I can just lay my muslin on top and start transferring with tracing paper all the other lines. Does that make sense? Yeah. I'm just, we want to have the most accurate way to transfer those lines. So you'll have to, after I've approved this, then you take it off, take all the, take it apart, take the front apart from the back, and then you'll take all the pins out of the muslin, take the darts out, I mean, and then give it a quick press on the ironing board, because it'll be wrinkled a little, and then you can lay it on the manila. So you'll all need to cut yourself a piece of manila. Maybe I'll try to get some cut for you guys. But yeah, you'll want to iron this nice and flat. So see how these aren't flat? You're gonna have trouble transferring that. And then you should be able to lay this grain line up, right? And match up your cross grain line on here and match up your apex just like that and weight it down. Oops. Make sure you leave yourself enough manila. Don't make that mistake. Okay? And then you're going to use the tracing paper to demo. My words today. Wheel. Thank you. You're going to trace all these lines. So the curved lines, you don't have to trace your dart legs. You can just mark where the vanishing point is, right? And then draw them in with a ruler. They'll be more accurate. But these lines you can trace with the carbon paper, right? And trace this guy with the carbon paper. And you can mark where the dart legs are, mark the vanishing point, and then draw those all in. You guys got it? I don't think I need to show you. But I think it's really important to have this, square that out. Sorry, make sure you leave yourself enough room here at the top for the shoulder. And line it up like that so you can have a nice clean sloper. And then obviously don't include your seam allowance. You're tracing this line and this line, and you can cut right on it. Cut right on those lines and you end up with this, okay? And if you want to take a picture of these, this is how I want you to label it. You don't have to label all of these things, but I want you to have it labeled like this, right? I'll leave these out for you guys.